and Nevin Taylor. And will the candidates please come up to the table, please? You can pick whatever. Whoever gets there first gets to pick the seat. How's that? Just give them your best side for the camera. There we go. All right, gentlemen, the same rules. You will have 4 minutes to introduce yourself to the audience, as well as make any statements you'd like in relationship to the council seats that you are pursuing. And we will do it in alphabetical order as well. So, Donald, you will be the first one on your 4 minutes.
Hello. Like you said, my name is Donald. Even though I've not served on council at any moment of time, I do feel like I've been a part of the city as it's been growing and evolving. Some of you know me. You know, I came to my first city council meeting when I was 12. I've been on boards and commissions for many, many years, which gave me the ability to run for city council the first time in the at-large council race. I live in my great-grandmother's 118-year-old home. The home is now 4th generation owned right here in town. Preserving the town's character is very important to me. And what in the questions that were asked before is all the questions that we're going to be, asked as well. And the concerns that I have is, everybody, so the questions that I have are, how are we going to protect Marysville's history? Because the majority of residents are moving here from places like Dublin, Westerville, Worthington, and they want to see the town succeed. They want to see it be successful, but they don't want to lose why they moved here in the first place. They don't want to lose the small town feel. They don't want to lose the open space. So balanced growth, sustainable growth, and also getting residents involved in what's happening, not just in boards and commissions, but getting them involved in the parks department, helping them clean up the parks, getting them involved. And those are the reasons why anybody can grow a city and anybody can plan a road, build commercial development, build more homes. But what my big thing is growing community and supporting each other and getting our schools involved. And that's why I'm running for city council. So one thing really quickly is I'll just say we need leadership, not office holders. We need a council member to protect our rural way of life, give residents a voice, support sustainable growth, welcome growth, but it needs to be detailed. Growth for the sake of growth is a cancer cell. It seems many people are in the business of marketing their community and drawing business in. But who is in the business of trying to improve the quality of life? To me, that means creating a plan, asking for community involvement, and developing something we can all embrace by giving residents the opportunity to be engaged. Teddy Roosevelt said, "Far and away, the best prize in life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." This quote expresses the very reason I chose to run for Marysville City Council. Gone are the days or town hall meetings where residents share their likes, dislikes, and needs, and council listened and responded in kind. Marysville needs her voice back, and as a council member, I support our residents every day. I will collaborate and with them and create a vision. Together, we will create a proud history, promising future. Thank you.
And Nevin Taylor, you have 4 minutes. Very good. First off, I want to say 3 things. Thank you to the Chamber automatically for having this event. It's important that all the citizens in this room and the ones that aren't here get a chance to see who our elected officials will be. Secondly, to the URE for sponsoring it. Third thing I want to say, Josh, should have been said earlier, thank you for your service. It's important that we realize our veterans do more for our community than we ever give them credit for. Now let's talk about Nevin Taylor. 1978, I came here as a student teacher at Marysville High School. Purchased a home in 1979. Found the love of my life. Took 7 years for her to say yes after I asked her to marry me. During that 7-year period, I had the opportunity to take a position at Marysville High School and then got a chance to take a position as a head coach at Indian Valley, clear across the state. So after we played on Friday night, my return trip was to come back home. Marysville has been my home since 1979. Back and forth for 2 years on the weekends during the football and the volleyball season as coaches. Then I got a chance to move back, get married finally to my bride, spent the next 6 years driving from Marysville to Findlay, Ohio, to Liberty Benton. Every day, only have one snow day where I got canceled on the other side of Kenton where I come from. Great song. It's more important that the one thing it taught me was that we need to make sure that our character of Marysville improves and moves forward each and every day. We cannot afford to take time off. We cannot afford to be single vision. There's a lot of things that have happened. From there in 6 years, I got a chance to go back to Fairbanks High School and move back. And since then, Marysville has still been home and will be home. To give you an idea, my house on 7th and Oak, we moved over to a little brick house on Main Street, 109 years old. So yes, I am the old one of the council people running, and I live in an old home, and I'm okay with that because home is character. We need to make sure that whoever we elect shows us proven leadership, not afraid to serve, not afraid to listen, because God did give us 2 ears to listen, one mouth to talk. But I think it's important that all of us remember that when we look at our city development, we need to make sure that there's housing available for all of them. We need to make sure when we call 911, they answer that call. And Josh, we're going to have to just for 1 second here. We do not lack leadership. What we lack are supervisors on a shift, because currently we have the same level individuals giving each other orders. And everyone knows that when the Indians start to fight, somebody's got to be the chief. So it's important that we get that leadership moved up and we have the opportunity. So yes, we have to find money in that budget. And you heard that conversation Monday night when we met. I think it's important that everyone realizes that tomorrow can only be successful if we start answering today. Prior to becoming a councilman, my first term where I filled an at-large position and then got elected, I felt like I was an inadequate councilman. There were things I didn't understand. I didn't know what a TIF was. I didn't know what a JED was. I didn't know what a CETA was. And Turk was, as far as I'm concerned, that was Thanksgiving dinner. Turkey, short for Turk. It's important that whoever we put in there knows those terms. So when I was beat by Ms. Sellers, I took that time to get into BZA and become the chairman of that board. I took that time to learn what planning commission and what's more importantly, design review. We have to keep the character of Marysville. It's home. It's got style. It's got integrity. We have to make sure we do the right thing every time, even if no one is watching. Because if we don't take care of our home, then we're going to find our home in somebody else's hands. When I had the opportunity to go back and serve again in Ward 4, which I have lived in for all 40 years, Ward 4, I said yes. That's why I'm here tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now will be approximately 15 minutes for questions and answers. Are there any? I see a couple people writing. Well, guess what? I have a question. So, all right, and this is probably going to be pertinent to a number of the different races tonight. However, Union County, Marysville, and Jerome Township have seen significant growth in the last 5 years. What are your thoughts, and what should local government do to support and manage the future growth and development in these areas? And we are going to start alphabetically, so
With me?
Donald, you start.
Okay, well, I mean, we've already touched on it. I'm not going to, tell you guys the same things you guys have already heard. I think for a long time, diversifying homes, like was already said, bringing in jobs, but I think we have to realize that I think the issue with Marysville is that for a long time there wasn't strategic planning. And we see that every day. We see it with our roadways, with our traffic. Building houses and building apartments is a great idea, but when you don't have the infrastructure to support it, you cause issues. And that's what's happening. We have an uptown that has been neglected. You have Marysville is doing what every other small town has done. You sometimes forget about what you have and you support what you want. And you create opportunity to build on the outskirts, but we tend to forget what's the heart of the town. So even though we need opportunity, I think it's very important for me as for the community candidate that I want to see people who maybe the bakery uptown. They, if given the opportunity, might be the new Little Debbie right here in our own backyard. Sometimes we're always searching for the big corporation or the big $1 million that's going to save the town. Well, as you notice on the federal level, not every small town will be saved by some $1 million company. And as an American, we have to realize that the only way this town's going to support is if we support each other. And there's a lot of people who work within their homes who are cabinet makers, and they don't have the ability to open up their own business. They don't have the funds to support themselves. That's what local governments are going to have to start doing. They're going to have to think outside the box and start supporting one another. And that's why I'm running for city council.
Nevin, same question for you. First off, growth is not a bad word. It is not a bad word by any means. If we can find more clients that are willing to help shoulder the burden, the expense of fire, please, more people to help chip into the street cost. It's important that we use TIFs wisely. Residential TIFs are not the answer. They end up costing, as a whole, the city money. But you need commercial TIFs. You must step forward. You must bring the businesses in to spread it out. To give you a good example, if you looked at TIFs, $11.4 million went to the schools because they were willing to work with us as partners, as a city. And I say us being the city, not Nevin Taylor. It's important you understand in that 11.4 million, we had 3.7 million that's residential. So there's a big difference, the money that was brought in. I think it's great that we're seeing more businesses in the uptown step forward to want to make a difference. The neatest thing is they used grants that were available for them to help them do it. Some of them didn't, but they still cared about their community, that they wanted the uptown to be a destination spot. I'm going to the uptown. I'm going to Partners Park for an event. It's important that when we had that bicentennial, you saw people come in from California. We saw people that came in from Florida just to be there that weekend because they wanted to see what home looked like now. I was impressed when I talked with the lady from Texas who drove all the way up from Texas, enjoyed the ride, but I was impressed when she said, I can remember when I got pants downstairs in McCarthy's shop right there, and then I got my shoes over here at Hecker's. Folks, that's pride. And if we can't instill that in our customers, then growth isn't good. But I believe there's a current plan with a 5, 10, and 50-year strategic plan that will make sure that growth continues to go forward.
All right, thank you. Nevin, the next question, you will be first, okay? Marysville is poised for a technology boom, but we have great technology resources currently at our disposal. What are your plans to leverage existing and future technologies to support growing and existing businesses?
My first thought was to continue the partnerships with the call, continue the partnerships we're in the JEDs, because if we can make our area look appetizing to individuals to come and live, we start making businesses come here. There is no question the investment by the city of Marysville when you go down Industrial Parkway that we want technology. There's no question of the commitment between Honda and Marysville or Scott's and Marysville. They want to go forward. When you aren't looking at going forward, then you just started sliding backwards. It's important that we realize as a city council, we need to work in partnerships. Yes, there needs to be time when they have to come to the city council side of the table and say, okay, we'll help you do this. But as a councilman, if elected, my goal is to go out and find more companies that want to come in, that show technology, but yet are willing to work with what we have available for resources. I will never support another 0.25% income tax. I think responsibility of the council is to make sure that we get technology in here, we make it work in here, and we stay with our means. After all, when's the last time one of us got to give ourselves a 0.25% raise or a cost of living of 25%? Doesn't happen. So it's important, if we're going after technology, we need to recruit, we need to bring them in, we need to show them the products, but we need to get them to buy into the fact this is going to be their home. Thank you.
Donald, same question.
So to piggyback on what Nevin has said and what all the other council has said, the other candidates have said is, the same thing. I think we have to be realistic though, and we have to think about, when I'm going door to door, people will always tell me, I don't want to become like Dublin. That's what people always say to me. And I give them my honest opinion. I don't think Marysville will ever become like Dublin. Marysville has a different vision than what Dublin has. And I think we have to be realistic to realize that technology jobs and these jobs of the future that we're talking about, they're locating in cities like Dublin. Because Dublin has invested in the quality of life to bring those jobs here. So we have to, as a community, start investing in the quality of life in Marysville. What that means is we have to start investing in parks, not just parks to mow, but open space. We have to invest in protecting what makes our community unique, bringing those jobs here. Technology is a great thing, but the reality is technology is changing at such a fast rate. What we say is technology today won't be in 5 years from now. Smart mobility. There's a possibility that nobody really is going to own a car. That's the reality of, technology. Nobody knows where technology is going to go. So it's going to always have to be partnerships. It's always going to have to be asking questions, never settling for what you have, but always searching for tomorrow. That's technology. Anybody can tell you, well, we need to keep doing this, keep doing that. Yeah, that's the truth, but technology is such a huge word. No one knows where the world's going to go, and no one's going to know. It's really quickly, I'll just say, just like the movie theaters. A lot of people want a movie theater in town. Disney has just come out with their own streaming services. So Disney is now trying to compete with Netflix. So movie theaters might not be something that's going to be available to all residents eventually. So...
All right, last question. And Donald, it'll be to you first. Okay. And it's going to be a repeat of a question was for Ward 1, but I think it's important enough that you guys have an opportunity to answer it. With all the growth that has happened recently in planning, what are your thoughts on planning for emergency services? Donald?
Well, as we already said, emergency services are always key to a city. And Marysville, like many communities, are, it's just growing pains. We have to find resources for them. There's resources are investing and bringing people here, investing in jobs and bringing up opportunity here. But budgets are getting tighter. Americans' budgets are getting tighter. The federal government and the state governments are taking more and more local dollars away from us. And it's not going to be just, Marysville or local officials are going to be the answer. It's going to have to take people running for state and federal office to bring back money to home. And I think that is that's the issue is, we have to start finding ways to bring money to the community, bringing opportunities here, investing in people, and investing in for our cities to become safer. Because, like everybody always said, if you don't have fire and police, you don't have a community.
Nevin, same question to you.
First off, the budgeting process for the city, you heard numbers earlier where we need an extra $140,000 to cover what we have non-allotted so that we can get that extra EMT on board so they can answer their call. There's some other things to be aware of. Currently, we have a dispatcher need where we're looking for somebody for third shift. We have 2 dispatchers handling 7 days a week, 365, 24 hours a day. We have a definite need. The budgeting process started clear back in June, starting to look forward. And one of the promises, and Josh and Scott, you can confirm this, that we made Monday night in the finance meeting is We will look at this, we're gonna send this budget forward, we're gonna talk publicly, we're gonna look at where the numbers are. If we can find a spot to get that EMT on board ahead of time, it'll be in the budget to start January 1, 2020. But if that money is not available, not found to sufficiently do it, I made the promise to Chief Riley and to Chief Golden, we will look at both your requests. It's not just fire that has a need, folks, EMTs are important too. First responders as a whole, we do not give them enough credit. Everybody else runs the opposite way when there's a fire and they start running in. When that wreck occurs, the EMT is running up, not running away from it, trying to get out of trouble. It's important that we find money for them. Again, that promise was made. If we don't find it before January 1, we'll be looking at it March 1st. Because we know there's a need. We're not going to turn our heads away from it. We have to find a way. Increasing taxes is not the answer. Learn to live within your budget. Find the responsibility. Maybe we don't get to do as much this year and we have to wait a year for something else, or we find that we don't really need that truck that we dual purpose with. If I can use that $90,000 and get me an EMT, or I can get me a dispatcher, because safety is safety, because this is home. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. That is the end of the questions.